What is postal code targeting and is it effective for small businesses? I'm Nate from Post Now. I'm going to show you how to use PCT, postal code targeting, effectively, and how it can be used by a small business to drive insane results with direct mail. So for those of you that are a little unfamiliar with postal code targeting versus the traditional neighborhood mail, postal code targeting is unique in its ability to target a 6-digit postal code. And what's unique about that is that makes it the most finite defined marketing area you can target across any form of advertising where you don't have the person's name. With digital campaigns, maybe you can target a radius of a kilometer around an area, but for the most part, that's not really the case. So I'm just going to look up a postal code here. One of the neat things in Google is that you can look up individual postal codes and it'll outline the houses that are included in that, or the buildings that are in that unique postal code. And with this example, you can see exactly what I mean, in that this is a collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, I'm not totally sure, properties. They could be duplexes, I'm not totally sure. But either way, I'm looking at approximately 20 addresses on average. There's a bit of an exception that I do want to cover, and that is that many apartment buildings and condo towers have a unique postal code for all residences in that tower. So if we jump over to Ontario here, for example, and look at 60 Absolute Avenue, and we'll use this example a little bit later here. These are we'll find some pictures here. So these are known as the Marilyn Monroe Towers. And what's neat about them is that they have their own postal code. And so I can target these towers individually, which is insane that that's the case. For a real estate or a particular service or product that is ideally suited to luxury condo lifestyle, boy, what a great opportunity to get into these without me having to do complex campaigns that are going to go all over the place versus as defined as this with postal code targeting. So that's how postal codes typically work. And so if we do this L4Z, there we go. So it's outlining this individual building instead of a couple different ones. There's that one Marilyn Monroe Tower, and here's the other one over here. So with those, you can target individual condo buildings and apartment buildings. It's amazing. Okay, so let's go and build a campaign. So I'm on the campaign builder. If you're not familiar with this, check out some of our other videos. Postal code targeting is an advanced form of direct mail mailing. It requires a little bit more prep work, and while you can build the campaign inside of Post Now very quickly, it's likely that you're going to have to spend some time working within your own data or planning out exactly which postal codes and addresses you're trying to hit. So this is advanced PCT training. We're going to select the postal code targeting option. As a side note, postal code targeting does have different design requirements where you have to have quiet zones, is what Canada Post refers to them as. And we've put a link here where you can view the design guides that we have to make sure. And so if you just find the application that matches your design tool, you can download them here. And in each one of these templates, you will find a postal code targeting design, so you know how to create those files so that they get properly inducted or accepted by Canada Post. If you are using one of our own templates, we know what quiet zones need to be there, and so we'll make sure that they're there without you having to worry about it. All right, so induction date, 5 days. The data cost of postal code targeting is included inside of the postage, and so we're able to put these campaigns together just as quick as any other campaign. That does make us the fastest ones in Canada, as far as we know, because of our online capabilities to tie directly into Canada Post. So who are we sending our campaign to? We're going to build a new postal code targeted audience today. And if I scroll down here, I've already got an audience name that's going to match my campaign name. If I want to change this, I can. So my audience name would be different. And this is nice if I've got a particular customer segment that I want to reference in the future. So this might be, in this case, it's HVAC installs 3 weeks. is what we're doing. And we're going this from July to August 2023. Okay, so I've got a list of bulk postal codes that I can enter into here. And so if I'm just going to pull this up here, here's an example of my postal codes. I've got 3 weeks of postal codes. And so these come from installs. So let's go with this one. It's installs. It's my recent customers. And so in this case, it's customers that I've recently installed a HVAC system in their homes. I'm now going to target their neighbors because I know that it's very likely that their neighbors have equipment that is the same age and so might also be aging out. And it's a great time for me to start establishing my brand and my trust to those neighbors, especially after I just did a great install for one of them and I know neighbors talk. And I know my van was parked outside of that house for an entire day, and so there's already going to be a little bit of brand recognition. With postal code targeting too, once I have this campaign ordered and we have it produced, it's delivered in homes as fast as first class mail, making it an excellent way to reach customers very, very quickly. In fact, it's the fastest way to get a direct mail piece into homes. Okay, so I've got this data and I've got 3 weeks of it here. So I'm going to start by copying out these postal codes. And I'm just going to work off of a couple screens here. I'm going to paste this in here. And so I'm using Control V for paste. If you're using Mac, you can use your command there, or you can just right click inside of the box and paste. So because it's from Excel, it'll paste each one in a separate row, which you'll need to do. And then if this is all I want to do, I'm going to collect the get household count, which will return how many unique addresses are in that list of postal codes. So I've got 591 there. If I want to add this to my audience, and I'm like, yep, I want to mail to all those people, I'm going to click the add these households to audience. So that's we're just going to scroll down here. If I scroll down here, I have my custom audience down here. Here's my finalized total, 591, and all of the costing that I see is going to be based on my final audience count. And so as I add more households to it, these rates are going to go down in terms of my campaign production rate. Because as you know, the higher the quantity, the better the rate that you get. All right, so I'm going to clear these with the reset button. And now if I go back to this list, I've got week 2 that I'd also like to include. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to pop over here and I'm going to paste them in here again. Now, we're going to have to do something a little bit more complex here because I want you to see how you can leverage this tool effectively. And that means giving you some unconventional ways to potentially use it. We're bound by some rules as to how we can present the data. And so here's what I expect. I expect 31 postal codes to have an average of about 20 homes per postal code or addresses per postal code. And if I get more than 620 homes, I'm going to have to question whether or not I need to look at this list of postal codes a little bit more closely to identify ones that might be apartment blocks or postal codes that for some reason or another have way more addresses in them than I should. And usually what that indicates is that you've hit an apartment building or a townhouse complex. And it's important to understand that those actually may not be the same customers that you're trying to go after if they don't fit what you're actually doing. So from an HVAC perspective, again, if it's an apartment and they have heating that comes from water, not from forced air furnaces, and that's what I'm installing, it's no use for me to send postcards or a campaign there. That's wasted money, and I would want to try to remove that. So let's go back here. So let's get this household count. I have a feeling it's going to be way higher than 600. Kind of hoping. 995. So I'm about 50% higher than what I would have hoped to have been, which means that likely in this list of postal codes, there's some really high count ones. And so I can either just decide to suck it up and accept that, or I can go a little bit, take some time and start filtering these out a little bit differently. So what you can do is we're going to delete all of these because I don't think we want that. And we're going to have to start with a smaller sample here. I'm going to just take the first 10 and do 10 at a time here. And see if I can identify the group of 10 that is maybe a little bit too high. This one probably has it. There's 100 extra in here, and so somewhere in here is something that's too high. I can, in this case, I'm just going to drop 5 of them, and I'm going to get the household count. And again, because I'm not adding them to my audience, I can do this all day until I figure this out. This one, so somewhere in here is a problem because I've got 201 out of 5. I know some of these postal codes, and so this one right away is a bit of a flag because it's a rural one by the looks of it, and these ones are all within the city. And so if I remove these and just get the single one, I'm gonna get a count on this of 0. Might have some extra lines in here. Let's try this again. Oh, so that is a 0 count one. So we're gonna just bump that out. Let's go with these 4 and see if we can figure out what's going on here. 201. Let's cut these ones out, get household count. Once you get the concept of what I'm doing, I'm going to move on and add a bunch more to this. But here we go. So I've got 2 now. One of these is massive, and so I'm just going to remove this one. I'm cutting them out so I can repaste them if I need to later. But I'm just going to identify which ones are bad. Here it is. So this one alone has 149, and if I pop this into Google Maps, it's identifying that it looks like it's definitely some sort of a complex or not. If I scroll out here, I might be able to identify if this is still a good area where I can service these people, or I can make a judgment call and say, you know what, I actually don't want to target these ones. It's very low probability. It's just not the right fit, whatever the case may be. And so in this case, though, I'm gonna be like, you know what, that actually is really good. It's just a bunch of townhomes or duplexes in a retirement community, and they're an audience that has money. They have aging equipment. They're a great one for me to go after. I'm still going to go after them. So pop back to our data here. We're just going to copy this all, and we'll just paste. Here's a thing. So I've got this postal code in here twice. You don't have to worry about duplicates. Our system will automatically remove duplicates from the count, so you don't have to worry about adding things twice. I'm still 995 like I was originally, even though I have this one postal code that actually has 157 in it twice. So you do need to recheck get household count if you check in the box. It's just because we want to make sure everything's always accurate. So I'm going to add these postal codes to my audience, and we'll scroll down here. And so now I've got that 1,586. I'm happy with that size of campaign. I can see the cost of it based on the various format that I might send out. And the nice thing with postal code targeting is because it's got an address on it, it's a great opportunity to do a letter instead of a postcard. And the reason for that is a letter gets opened, and so you'll get eyes on your piece just a little bit more than if you did with a postcard, which sometimes gets lost in the shuffle of all the other postcards unless it is designed well and stands out or is oversized. So with the letter, though, you know, it would say something like, "Dear homeowner," you can put a little bit of design on the outside of the envelope to encourage it opening, offer inside, or however you want to do it. And then inside on that letter is anything you want on a double-sided piece of paper. Or you can step up to an 8x14 or do multi-steps. There's all sorts of things you can do. And so if you are trying to do something a little bit more complex with a postal code targeting campaign and you don't see it online, reach out to our team using the chat bot, which will connect you to one of the team after you get through it, or call us, and we can put together some custom campaigns that meet your particular requirements. So we're going to worry about finishing off the campaign. It's pretty straightforward at this point versus the other campaigns on the site. I did just want to dig into like how to really identify postal codes that you want to go after. Okay, so that's the bulk tool. We should likely look at this address postal code lookup as well. So if you don't have a bulk list of postal codes because they're not coming from your customer database and it's more about going after apartment buildings, you can use this address postal code lookup to save yourself some time. So I'm going to pop over to this option, and my bulk tool is all gone. I'm now left with a enter an address. And so we were looking at that 60 Absolute Avenue. So I'm gonna look that up. So Poughkeepsie Absolute Avenue, and it'll automatically find the postal code and get us the count of 428 residences in that building. If I want to include this in my audience, I'm just gonna select the toggle here to green to include it, and it'll update my postcard count or my quantities down in the bottom of my pricing here. If I want to add another row, I'm just going to select add row, and it's going to add another row for me to start entering another address here. You can go all over the country with a single postal code targeting campaign. Another really cool thing about it, because my clients and my customers might be scattered across the country. If I'm a retailer with an e-commerce shop that wants to target neighbors of my existing customers, which is another great reason to do a postal code targeting campaign, is that if you sell the type of products that neighbors tend to buy as well, those grass is greener type of products, so outdoor things, furniture, things that are very visual, blinds, it's the neighbors see them and it triggers that response to say we should look at that too. And if you're also then targeting them with great quality mail pieces, you get to be front and center because you've been the one that helped the neighbor out. So there's a lot of value there. Anyways, we're looking for another address here. So let's find another address here. I want to get the other Absolute Avenue Towers, and I think it's 50. So we're going to go 50 Absolute Avenue. It's got another 428 units in it. I'm going to include that one as well. Now let's do something a little bit more unconventional. I'm going to pop back over to this Edmonton one. So here's that T5A 3A6. I don't know actually. We need an address. So let's get someone's address here. This is 435 Habitat Crescent. And it should come back with that 157, 149. So there's the postal codes for that one. Great, I'm gonna add that one to my account or my campaign. Same thing, my quantities go up based on all that. And like, what's nice about this one is because it's not based on such a large quantity, you can just toggle these off to adjust your budgets as you go. Add all the ones you want, and then finish off your campaign. You can do up to about 20 different addresses in a single audience going this way. If you're doing more than that, you'll want to use the bulk tool. So that's the other way to use the postal code lookup. I think this is a really strong way if you're doing your own prospecting and just identifying general buildings that you want to go after, even if you don't have customers in them. Just postal code lookup can be kind of painful, but addresses are so much easier to find. So thanks for watching on how to use postal code targeting. We look forward to helping you with this. So if you are a small business, we definitely encourage you to look at this and see how you could use this to leverage that whole neighborhood aspect or that neighbor reputation side of things. It does work very, very well, just the same way that reviews do. So once again, I am Nate with Post Now. Thanks for watching. Reach out to us with any questions you have.